There's a particular quality to silence that follows betrayal. It's not simply the absence of sound. It's a void that expands, consuming everything in its path until even your thoughts echo back to you like they're coming from somewhere else. I've been living in that silence for 3 days now. The chicken is already in the oven when I realize I've forgotten to add the lemon slices Neil loves so much. I curse under my breath, opening the oven door to slide them in alongside the roasting bird. Steam billows into my face. 6 years together, and I still remember how he likes things, the way he prefers his chicken with lemon and rosemary, how he takes his coffee with just a splash of almond milk, the way he sleeps with one arm tucked under his pillow. 6 years. And somehow, I still care about getting these little things right. I check my watch, 7:45 p.m. He should have texted by now. The table is set, wine uncorked and breathing. My phone sits face up on the counter, stubbornly unlit. I pick it up, open our messages. His last text, finishing up some things at work, should be home by 8, came through at 6:03. I scroll up through our conversation. Weeks of mundane exchanges about groceries and bills. Then months. It's like archaeology. The deeper I dig, the more I find evidence of what we used to be. A year ago, can't stop thinking about last night. You're still the only one who makes me feel this way. 2 years ago, miss your face, counting the hours until I'm home. 3 years ago, sometimes I look at you when you're reading and I can't believe how lucky I am. When did our messages become about toilet paper and internet bills? I open our photo album. There we are in Barcelona, 3 summers ago. Neil's arm around my waist as we squint into the Mediterranean sun. There's the cabin in Vermont where we spent a winter weekend, snow falling outside while we drank bourbon by the fireplace. In every photo, we're touching. His hand on my shoulder, my fingers laced through his giz, our foreheads pressed together. I can't remember the last time we touched like that. The oven timer chimes. I put down the phone and move to the kitchen, sliding on oven mitts. The chicken smells good. Crisp skin, fragrant herbs. Neil's favorite meal. I made it hoping to bridge whatever gap has been widening between us these past few months. A peace offering, though I'm not sure what we're fighting about. The lock turns in the front door. My heart jumps in that old familiar way, the way it did when we first started dating. 6 years later, and some part of me still lights up when he walks in. "Smells amazing in here," Neil says as he enters, dropping his keys in the ceramic bowl by the door. The soft clink is so domestic, so routine, it makes my chest ache. He looks tired. His dark hair is damp with rain. I didn't know it was falling, and there are shadows under his eyes that seem to have become permanent fixtures in recent months. Still handsome, though, in that effortless way that caught my attention across a crowded bar all those years ago. "Lemon chicken," I say, smiling. "Your favorite." Something crosses his face, guilt maybe, before he returns the smile. "You didn't have to go to all this trouble." "It's no trouble," I lie. I spent an hour at the grocery store picking out the perfect ingredients, another hour preparing everything, but I don't tell him that. "How was work?" He shrugs off his coat, hanging it on the rack. "Busy. The Henderson account is becoming a nightmare." He disappears into the bedroom to change. We eat dinner at the table instead of in front of the TV, another attempt at rekindling whatever spark has dimmed. Neil compliments the food repeatedly, but eats little. He asks about my day, but his eyes drift to his phone every few minutes. I tell him about the article I've been working on. I'm a freelance writer, but I can feel him drifting away even as he nods along. "So then, I decided to become a professional lion tamer," I say, testing to see if he's listening. "That's good," he says absently, then blinks. "Wait, what?" I force a laugh. "Just checking if you were with me." He has the decency to look embarrassed. Sorry, I'm just distracted. Work stuff." "It's fine," I say, though it isn't. More wine? After dinner, we clean up together in a choreographed dance perfected over years of cohabitation. I wash, he dries. Our fingers brush as I hand him a plate, and for a moment, I think he might hold my hand. He doesn't. His phone buzzes in his pocket. He glances at it, and something in his expression changes. A tightening around the eyes, a slight flush across his cheekbones. "I need to take this," he says. "Work call." Before I can respond, he's moving toward the balcony, sliding the glass door closed behind him. Through the glass, I watch his back as he talks. Shoulders hunched against the evening chill. His voice is too low for me to hear. There was a time I wouldn't have thought twice about this. Neil's job at the marketing firm often requires after-hours calls. But lately, these calls have been coming more frequently and always at odd hours, and he never used to leave the room to take them. I dry my hands on a dish towel and try not to stare as he paces the length of our small balcony. The rain has stopped, but water still drips from the railing. His free hand gestures expressively, the way it does when he's excited about something, or someone. The thought ambushes me. Unwelcome and insistent. I push it away. When he comes back inside, his cheeks are flushed from the cold. Or something else. He offers no explanation for the call, just picks up a dish towel and resumes drying. "Everything okay at work?" I ask, keeping my voice casual. "Oh, yeah, just some last-minute changes to the campaign we're launching next week." He doesn't meet my eyes. Neil has always been a terrible liar. I used to find it endearing. We finish the dishes in silence. Later, we sit on the couch watching a show neither of us is really following. There's a careful 6 inches of space between us that might as well be an ocean. I want to bridge it, to rest my head on his shoulder the way I used to, but something stops me. Fear, maybe. Fear that he'll tense at my touch, or worse, accept it with the resigned politeness of obligation. When did we become so careful with each other? His phone buzzes again. This time, he glances at it, then quickly turns it face down on the coffee table. But not before I catch a glimpse of the notification. A text message from someone named Alex. I don't know any Alex in Neil's life. Who's Alex? The question slips out before I can stop it. Neil's expression freezes for just a fraction of a second before smoothing into neutrality. "New guy at work. He's helping on the Henderson account." "Oh," I say, as if this explains everything. As if it explains the way Neil's eyes darted away when he answered. Or why he's suddenly gripping the remote control like it might try to escape. We watch the rest of the show in silence. I don't remember a single thing that happens in it. That night in bed, Neil falls asleep quickly, turned away from me. I lie awake, listening to his breathing, watching the shifting patterns of streetlight on our ceiling. The distance between us in our queen-sized bed feels insurmountable. When did we stop sleeping tangled together? When did his breathing stop being the thing that lulled me to sleep and start being the thing that kept me awake? I remember a night early in our relationship, both of us drunk on cheap wine and the novelty of each other, when Neil told me, "I think I could listen to you breathe forever." Now I strain to hear anything familiar in the rhythm of his inhales and exhales, anything that still connects us. I turn toward him, study the curve of his shoulder in the dim light. I could reach out, touch him, wake him up. We could talk, really talk, about whatever's happening between us. Or not happening. But my hand stays by my side, and eventually, I drift into an uneasy sleep. Morning comes too soon, filtering through the blinds. We always forget to close completely. Neil is already up, the sound of the shower running in the bathroom. I check my phone. 6:30 a.m. Early, even for him. I stretch, feeling the empty space beside me. Once we would have showered together, water-slicked skin and lazy kisses before facing the day. Now he sneaks away before I wake, as if avoiding even those mundane intimacies. His phone chimes on the nightstand. His side, always his side, like the invisible line down the center of our bed, is a border neither of us dares to cross anymore. Without thinking, I reach for it. The notification is from Alex. I shouldn't look. I know I shouldn't. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. That's what all the books say. But trust feels like a luxury I can no longer afford. The phone unlocks with Neil's birthday. He never changed it, despite my teasing him about security. The message preview appears. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about. My heart stutters. I tap on the message to open it fully, even as something cold and heavy settles in my stomach. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about the way you touched me. When can I see you again? Just below it, Neil's response. Soon, I promise. I just need to figure some things out. My hands are shaking so badly I nearly drop the phone. There are more messages, dozens of them, stretching back weeks. I scroll through them, each one a knife twisting deeper. Miss you already. That thing you did with your tongue. Why does it feel so different with you? When are you going to leave him? That last one, sent 3 days ago, makes me physically recoil. The phone slips from my fingers onto the bed. The shower stops. I have maybe 30 seconds before Neil emerges. I should confront him immediately. Demand explanations, scream, throw things. That's what people do in movies. Instead, I carefully replace the phone exactly as I found it and lie back down. Turning away from his side of the bed, I close my eyes and focus on keeping my breathing even as the bathroom door opens and Neil moves quietly around the room, getting dressed. I feel him pause by the bay, looking down at me. For a wild moment, I think he might lean down and kiss me goodbye, the way he used to. Instead, he sighs softly and moves away. The bedroom door closes. Only then do I open my eyes, staring at the wall as tears slide sideways across my face, soaking into the pillow. How did we get here? When did I become someone he needed to escape from? The front door closes with a quiet click that somehow sounds like the end of everything. I spend the day in a fog. I call in sick to the copywriting job that pays my bills while I work on my novel. I can't concentrate on either. Instead, I move through our apartment like a ghost, touching the artifacts of our shared life. The framed photo from our trip to Maine. The ceramic mug Neil made in that pottery class he took 2 years ago. The quilt his mother gave us last Christmas, stitched with our initials. All these physical reminders of us, and yet the us they represent feels like it belongs to someone else, someone I used to know intimately, but now recognize only in glimpses. I rehearse what I'll say when he comes home. Something dignified but firm. Something that won't break halfway through and reveal just how thoroughly destroyed I am. But when the lock turns at 6:37 p.m., every carefully prepared speech evaporates. Neil walks in, and all I can see is the stranger he's become. The man who touches someone else, who makes promises to someone else, who might be planning a future with someone else. He stops short when he sees me sitting in the dim living room. Hey, he says, wariness creeping into his voice. I thought you'd be working late tonight. Clearly, I reply, my voice steadier than I feel. He sets down his bag slowly, eyes never leaving my face. What's wrong? A laugh escapes me, sharp and humorless. You really have to ask that? He stands frozen by the door, like he's calculating whether he should stay or run. I can see the exact moment realization dawns. His eyes widen slightly, lips parting on an inhale. How long? I ask. Just that, nothing else. The silence stretches between us, heavy with all the words we haven't said to each other for months. Maybe years. Neil closes his eyes briefly. When he opens them, there's a resignation there that tells me he's been waiting for this moment, perhaps even wanting it. The relief in his posture is perhaps the cruelest part. How long what? He asks, but it's just stalling, and we both know it. How long have you been sleeping with Alex? He flinches at the name. It's not. It's complicated. How long, Neil? My voice breaks on his name, and I hate myself for it. He moves into the living room, sinking onto the couch across from me, not beside me, never beside me anymore. 3 months, he finally says, so quietly I almost miss it. 3 months, 90 days of lies, of him coming home to me, sleeping beside me, all while building a separate life with someone else. Do you love him? The question tears itself from my throat before I can stop it. Neil stares at his hands. I don't know what I feel. But you don't love me anymore. It's not a question. He looks up then, eyes shining with unshed tears. I'll always love you, Ethan. The use of my name, so rarely spoken between us now, as if we've become afraid of the intimacy it implies, breaks something loose inside me. Don't say that to me right now. It's true, he insists, leaning forward. But sometimes love isn't, oh, enough? I finish for him. Is that what you were going to say? That loving me isn't enough anymore? He doesn't deny it. The silence is confirmation enough. I think, he begins, then stops, swallows. I think I should stay somewhere else tonight. I want to argue. I want to demand that he stay and face what he's done, what he's doing to us. But I'm afraid of what else I might say, what irreparable damage my pain might inflict if given voice. So I just nod, once curtly. He disappears into the bedroom. I hear drawers opening, the zip of his duffel bag. 10 minutes later, he emerges with enough clothes for a few days. We both pretend this is temporary. At the door, he pauses. I never meant to hurt you, he says, the most predictable line in this whole sordid script. I look at him, really look at him, for what feels like the first time in months. The man I fell in love with, the man who once knew every inch of me, body and soul. The man who is now a stranger carrying half my heart out the door. How long? I ask again, but this time I mean something different. How long have we been pretending? How long have we been going through the motions? How long have we been dead and not known it? Neil understands. His eyes fill with a sadness so profound, it almost looks like love. Too long, he whispers. And then he's gone. The apartment is too quiet after he leaves. I turn on music, then immediately turn it off. The silence is painful, but anything else feels like a deliberate distraction, an attempt to avoid feeling what I need to feel. I pour a glass of wine, then set it down untouched. Getting drunk won't help. Nothing will help. I wander through the rooms that suddenly feel both too empty and too full. Empty of Neil's presence, but crowded with memories that ambush me at every turn. The kitchen where he taught me to make risotto, standing behind me with his arms around my waist, guiding my hand as I stirred. Slowly, he'd murmured, his breath warm against my ear. You have to be patient. The living room where we'd built a blanket fort during a power outage our first winter together, telling ghost stories by flashlight until we were both laughing too hard to be scared. We made love there, cocooned in darkness and flannel, discovering each other by touch alone. The bathroom where I once found him singing into his electric toothbrush. An impromptu karaoke session that ended with both of us breathless from laughter and damp from the shower he'd pulled me into, clothes and all. Every corner of this place we've made our home holds some fragment of us. But what happens when us no longer exists? I end up in the bedroom, sitting on his side of the bed. His scent lingers on the pillow. I press my face into it, inhaling deeply, trying to memorize something I fear I'm already forgetting. On his nightstand sits a book he's been reading, a bookmark still holding his place, a half-empty glass of water. His reading glasses folded neatly beside a small dish where he keeps his watch at night. All the mundane details of a life. Our life. I lie down fully clothed, curling into myself on his side of the bed. Sleep eludes me, but memories don't. Our first date, a foreign film neither of us understood, followed by coffee where we talked until the cafe closed around us. He touched my wrist when he laughed, just a brief pressure of fingers against pulse, but it had sent electricity through me. Our first kiss. In the rain because we'd both forgotten umbrellas, huddled under the inadequate shelter of a store awning. I don't usually do this, he'd said, just before leaning in. The taste of rain on his lips, the warmth of his mouth against the chill air. The first time we said, I love you. Tangled in sheets in his too small apartment bedroom, morning light painting patterns across his skin. I'd said it first, the words escaping before I could catch them. The moment of terror before his face broke into a smile so brilliant it hurt to look at. I've been waiting to hear that, he'd said. I've been waiting to say it back. When did those moments, so vivid, so alive with feeling, begin to fade? When did we start going through the motions, Playing at being in love instead of feeling it? Or was it just me who stopped feeling? Was Neil reaching for something I couldn't give him anymore? The questions circle like vultures, picking at the carcass of what we once were. Morning finds me still in yesterday's clothes, eyes swollen, throat raw. I check my phone. No messages from Neil. I'm not sure if I'm relieved or devastated. I shower mechanically, letting hot water pound against my skin until it's nearly scalding. Physical pain as distraction from the emotional kind. Afterward, I stand before the mirror, studying my reflection through the steam. I look the same. Shouldn't something like this change you visibly? Shouldn't there be some mark, some visible wound? But no. Same brown eyes, same stubborn cowlick in my hair that Neil used to smooth down every morning. Same face. Just hollowed out somehow, like someone scooped out everything that mattered and left the shell intact. The shame hits first, sudden and overwhelming. Shame that I wasn't enough. Shame that I didn't see this coming. Shame that someone else could give Neil something I apparently couldn't. What did I miss? Were there signs I ignored? Moments when I could have reached across the growing distance between us, but chose not to. I remember conversations that trailed off into silence. Casual touches that became increasingly rare. The way Neil stopped meeting my eyes when we talked about the future. Was I too wrapped up in my own life, my work, my writing, my own separate identity? Did I neglect us while tending to me? Or was it simpler than that? Did he just stop loving me? Is love something that can simply expire, like milk left too long in the refrigerator? I dress for work even though I've already called in sick again. The routine feels necessary, an anchor in the chaos. Button-up shirt, dark jeans, the watch Neil gave me for my 28th birthday last year. I almost take it off, then decide against it. I'm not ready to start erasing him yet. In the kitchen, I make coffee I don't want and toast I won't eat. The betrayal is a living thing now, growing teeth and claws, shredding whatever rational thought I try to form. 3 months. 3 months of lies. Of coming home to me, sleeping beside me, all while seeing someone else. How many times did he leave our bed to text Alex? How many times did he compare us? Did he whisper the same endearments to Alex that he once whispered to me? The mug shatters against the wall before I realize I've thrown it. Coffee drips down the pale paint like tears. Anger feels good. Cleaner than shame. I lean into it. Neil is a liar. A cheater. He's just like every cautionary tale my friends shared over drinks. Every sad plot in every sad movie about relationships gone wrong. Except, he's also the man who held me through my father's funeral, who knows exactly how I like my coffee, who once drove 4 hours to surprise me on a business trip because he couldn't stand another night apart. He's the first person I want to call when something wonderful happens. He's the only one who knows about the birthmark shaped like Italy on my left hip. He's the man I built a life with. And now he's gone. The anger collapses as quickly as it flared, leaving only grief in its wake. I sink to the kitchen floor, back against the cabinets, and finally let myself cry. Not the quiet tears of last night, but deep, wrenching sobs that feel torn from somewhere vital inside me. I cry until I'm empty, until there's nothing left but the hollow echo of my breath in my chest. When I finally pull myself up, legs shaky, the apartment is washed in late morning light. The world has continued turning, indifferent to my pain. There's something both terrible and comforting in that. I clean up the broken mug, wiping coffee from the wall. The mundane act of restoration feels like the only thing I'm capable of right now. My phone buzzes on the counter. For one wild, hopeful moment, I think it might be Neil. It's not. I heard what happened. Do you want to talk? The number isn't saved in my contacts, but I recognize it immediately. James, my best friend from college. The one who warned me 6 years ago that I was moving too fast with Neil. The one I gradually lost touch with as Neil and I built our insular world of two. The one who Neil always seemed vaguely jealous of, though he never admitted it. My hand trembles as I stare at the message. How does James know? Who told him? What exactly did he hear? And why, after all this time, is he reaching out now? Another text follows. I'm in town for the week. Could meet for coffee if you want. No pressure. No pressure. As if anything in my life right now doesn't feel like pressure. As if the very foundations aren't shifting beneath my feet. But there's something in the offer, a lifeline, perhaps. A connection to who I was before Neil, before this apartment, before the life we built that's now crumbling around me. My thumb hovers over the keyboard. What would Neil think if I met with James? Does it matter what Neil thinks anymore? The realization that I'm free, suddenly, terribly free, hits me with physical force. I can do whatever I want. See whoever I want. I owe Neil nothing now. The thought should be liberating. Instead, it feels like falling without a parachute. I begin typing, delete it, start again. 3 little dots that might lead somewhere new, or just deeper into pain. Yes, coffee would be good. I hit send before I can change my mind. Something has just shifted, irrevocably. I don't know what comes next, but for the first time in 3 days, I feel like I might want to find out. The blue light of my phone illuminates the darkness of the apartment. 3 minutes have passed since I sent my reply to James. 3 minutes of my heart hammering against my ribs, my breath shallow and quick. I stare at the screen, waiting, wondering if I've made a mistake. Yes, coffee would be good. 4 simple words that feel like stepping off a cliff. The 3 dots appear almost immediately. James is typing. I watch them pulse, hypnotic in their rhythm. Then, tomorrow, 2 p.m. at Blackbird, like old times. Blackbird, the cafe where we used to spend hours during college, hunched over textbooks and terrible coffee, solving the world's problems until the baristas started stacking chairs on tables. I haven't been there in years. I wonder if it's still the same. Mismatched furniture and local art on exposed brick walls, the perpetual scent of cinnamon and espresso in the air. I hesitate, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. This feels significant in a way I can't quite articulate, like I'm making a choice that will ripple outward, changing everything that comes after. But haven't things already changed irrevocably? Doesn't Neil's betrayal free me from the careful routines we'd built together? I type a response before I can overthink it. Hey, I could really use someone to talk to. I hit send and close my eyes, exhaling slowly. The reply comes faster than I expected. I'll be there. Just like old times. And Ethan, I'm sorry about what happened. Just like old times. But nothing is like old times anymore. The life I've carefully constructed over 60 years has collapsed like a house of cards, leaving me standing in the rubble, unsure which pieces to salvage and which to leave behind. I don't respond to that last message. What would I say? Thanks for your sympathy. It wasn't your fault. I turn off my phone instead and walk to the window, pushing it open to let in the night air. May in the city. Not quite summer, not quite spring. The scent of rain still lingers, mixing with car exhaust and the distant aroma of someone's late dinner. Ordinary smells on an ordinary night that somehow feels like the end of everything I've known. I lean out slightly, looking up at the narrow strip of sky visible between buildings. No stars tonight, just the ambient glow of city lights reflecting off low clouds. I used to find that comforting, the perpetual twilight of urban nights. Now it just feels like another layer of isolation. Sleep evades me again. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Neil, about James, about choices made and unmade. When I finally drift off, my dreams are a confusing tangle of past and present. Neil's smile morphing into James's laugh, familiar rooms with doors that lead to unexpected places. Conversations where the words make no sense, but the emotions cut deep. I wake unrested, disoriented, the remnants of dreams clinging to me like cobwebs. The apartment is silent, the emptiness more pronounced in daylight. Neil has been gone just over 24 hours, but it feels both longer and shorter, time stretching and compressing in strange ways around the void he's left. My phone shows 3 missed calls from Neil and a text. We need to talk. Please call me when you can. I don't call. I don't know what I'd say. what I'd want to hear. Instead, I shower and dress with unusual care, selecting clothes I haven't worn in months. A blue button-down that James once said brought out my eyes. Dark jeans that fit better than they should after weeks of stress-suppressed appetite. I catch myself in this act of preparation and pause, one hand on the closet door. Am I dressing for James? The thought brings a flush of shame, then defiance. What does it matter who I'm dressing for? Neil forfeited any claim on my choices the moment he chose someone else. Still, as I leave the apartment, I feel like I'm breaking some unspoken rule, crossing a boundary that shouldn't be crossed. But the boundaries of my life have already been redrawn without my consent. I'm just trying to find my footing in this new, unstable landscape. Blackbird Cafe is exactly as I remember it, and completely different. The mismatched furniture remains, but it's been rearranged. The local art has changed. More abstract pieces now, fewer landscapes. The baristas are younger, with more tattoos and brighter hair. But the scent, that distinctive blend of coffee and cinnamon, that's the same, wrapping around me like a familiar blanket the moment I push open the door. James is already there, seated at a corner table by the window. Our table, I realize with a jolt. After all these years, he still remembers which spot we claimed as ours. He looks up as the bell above the door chimes, and our eyes meet across the room. Time does a strange telescoping thing, compressing years into seconds. James looks both exactly the same and completely different. His dark hair is shorter now, styled more carefully than the haphazard cut he sported in college. He's traded graphic tees for a simple white button-down, rolled at the sleeves, to reveal forearms tanned and lightly freckled. But his eyes, those haven't changed at all. Dark brown with flecks of gold, crinkling at the corners when he smiles, like he's doing now. Ethan, he says, standing as I approach. Just my name, but something in the way he says it makes my throat tighten. We hover awkwardly for a moment, caught between a handshake and a hug, before James makes the decision, pulling me into a brief, firm embrace. He smells of sandalwood and something citrusy, clean and unfamiliar. Not Neil's scent of mint, and that specific laundry detergent he insisted on buying. You made it, James says as we both sit, his smile gentle. I said I would. My voice sounds strange to my own ears, like I'm performing a version of myself I haven't inhabited in years. I got you a flat white, he says, pushing a ceramic mug toward me. Still your drink of choice? The fact that he remembers hits me harder than I expect. Yes. Thank you. Silence settles between us, not uncomfortable but weighted with unspoken words. I wrap my hands around the mug, letting its warmth seep into my palms. How did you know? I finally ask. About Neil and everything. James looks down at his own coffee, black, no sugar, same as always. We have mutual friends. Word gets around. What word exactly? He meets my eyes then, his gaze direct but kind. That Neil's been seeing someone else. That you found out. That he moved out. Hearing it summarized so neatly makes it sound almost mundane. Just another relationship ending, another story to share over drinks. But the reality of it is anything but mundane. It's earth-shattering, identity-altering. It's the difference between knowing who I am and being utterly lost. It's been 3 days, I say, more to myself than to James. Just 3 days, and everything's different. James doesn't offer platitudes or advice. He just nods, his eyes never leaving my face, and waits for me to continue. And suddenly, I'm talking. Words pouring out of me like water from a broken dam. I tell him about the growing distance between Neil and me, the suspicious calls, the text messages I found. I tell him about the confrontation, about Neil's admission that love wasn't enough anymore. I tell him about the silence in the apartment afterward, the memories that ambush me in every room, the questions that keep me awake at night. Throughout it all, James just listens. He doesn't interrupt with his own opinions or try to fix anything. He just witnesses my pain, his eyes steady on mine, his presence an anchor in the storm of my emotions. I don't know what happens now. I finish, my voice hoarse from talking. My coffee has gone cold, untouched except for a single sip. James reaches across the table then, his hand coming to rest just centimeters from mine. Not quite touching, but close enough that I can feel the warmth of his skin. "Now," he says softly, "you breathe, you take it one day at a time. And you remember that you're not alone in this." I look down at our hands, so close on the wooden tabletop. My fingers itch to bridge that small gap, to feel the solid reality of human connection after days of drifting in my own grief. But something holds me back. Guilt, perhaps, or fear. Or maybe just the vertigo of standing on the edge of something new when I've barely processed the end of something old. "How have you been, James?" I ask, deliberately changing the subject. "It's been, what, 3 years since we really talked?" A shadow crosses his face so quickly I almost miss it. 4, actually, and I've been okay. Working too much, traveling a lot for the architecture firm. Recently moved back to the city after a year in Chicago. "Chicago? What was that like?" "Cold," he says with a small smile. "Beautiful architecture, though, and the food was amazing." Just like that, we slip into easier conversation, catching up on careers and mutual friends, sharing stories of the years we've spent apart. It feels familiar and new all at once. This rhythm between us. I find myself laughing at his description of a disastrous date with a performance artist, the sound startling me. I didn't think I was capable of laughter right now. As we talk, memories surface. Unbidden, but not unwelcome. James and I walking through campus in autumn, kicking through piles of gold and crimson leaves. The time we stayed up all night working on separate projects, keeping each other company in comfortable silence. The music festival where we got separated from our friends and ended up sitting on a hillside, sharing a bottle of wine as distant bands played soundtracks to conversations that meandered from philosophy to our childhood pets. And other memories, too, loaded with a different kind of tension. The night we almost kissed outside my dorm, both of us leaning in before my phone rang with a call from my mother. The morning he showed up at my door with coffee and bagels after I'd been up all night writing a paper. The way his gaze lingered on my face, making my heart race. The party where our hands brushed as we reached for the same drink, the contact sending electricity up my arm. We'd been dancing around something back then. Something neither of us quite had the courage to name. And then, Neil had entered the picture, sweeping me off my feet with his confidence and intensity. And whatever might have developed between James and me was relegated to the realm of what if. "Remember that time at Jackson's party?" James asks suddenly, as if reading my thoughts. "When everyone was doing karaoke in the basement." I do remember. It was the spring of our junior year, just weeks before I met Neil. James and I had squeezed onto a love seat in the corner, his arm casually draped behind me, our thighs pressed together in the crowded room. We'd shared commentary on our friends' performances, leaning close to be heard over the music, each word a warm puff of air against the other's ear. "You were supposed to sing," I remind him. "You promised you'd do Vienna by Billy Joel, but you chickened out." "I did not chicken out," he protests, eyes crinkling with amusement. "I was preserving everyone's eardrums. Besides," his voice softens, "I only offered to sing because you said it was your favorite song." Something shifts in the air between us at this admission. Our eyes lock, and I'm suddenly acutely aware of how close our hands still are on the table, of the way the afternoon light catches the gold flecks in his eyes, of the slight part of his lips as he watches me. "James," I begin, not sure what I'm going to say next. His phone chimes, breaking the moment. He glances at it, then back at me apologetically. "Work," he explains. "I should probably respond to this." I nod, using the interruption to gather myself. What am I doing, 3 days after discovering Neil's betrayal, and I'm... What, flirting with someone from my past? Seeking comfort in old connections? Using James as a distraction from my pain? Guilt washes over me in a cold wave. Even though Neil betrayed me, even though our relationship is likely over, it feels wrong to be sitting here, enjoying another man's company, remembering the attraction that once simmered between us. James finishes his text and puts his phone away, looking at me with concern. "You okay?" You went somewhere else for a minute there? I'm fine, I lie. Just processing everything, I guess. He studies me for a moment, then nods. Too much? Too soon? The perceptiveness of the question catches me off guard. Maybe, I admit. I don't know. Everything feels complicated right now. That's understandable. He glances at his watch. Want to get out of here? Take a walk, maybe? I've found movement sometimes helps when thoughts get too tangled. Outside, the afternoon has warmed considerably, the earlier clouds giving way to patches of blue sky. We walk side by side, not touching, but close enough that our arms occasionally brush, each contact sending a small jolt through me. We head toward the river without explicitly deciding to, following a path we used to walk regularly in college. The city has changed around us, new buildings rising where vacant lots once stood, familiar storefronts replaced with trendy boutiques and restaurants. But the river remains constant, flowing dark and eternal beneath bridges old and new. I feel like I'm betraying him, I say abruptly, as we pause at a railing overlooking the water, even though he already betrayed me. James leans against the railing, considering this. By talking to me, you mean? By enjoying talking to you, I clarify. By remembering us, what we were, what we might have been. He's quiet for a long moment, watching a tour boat glide beneath the bridge. I don't think healing is a betrayal, Ethan, he finally says. And that's what this is. Part of your healing. Is that all this is? The question escapes before I can consider its implications. James turns to face me fully then, his expression serious. What do you want it to be? I have no answer for that. What do I want? The question seems impossibly complex right now, when the foundations of my life are still shifting beneath my feet. I don't know, I admit. I don't know what I want from one minute to the next these days. That's okay, he says gently. You don't have to know. We resume walking, the conversation shifting to safer topics, books we've read recently, movies we've seen, the changes in the neighborhood around us. But there's an undercurrent now, a charge in the air between us that wasn't there before, or perhaps was always there, just forgotten until now. As the afternoon wanes, we find ourselves approaching my apartment building. I stop at the corner, suddenly reluctant to have this encounter end, but equally uncertain about inviting him up. This is me, I say, gesturing vaguely toward the building. James nods, hands in his pockets. Thank you for meeting me today, he says. It was really good to see you, even under these circumstances. It was good to see you too. The words feel inadequate for the complex tangle of emotions this afternoon has stirred in me. We stand there, caught in another moment of indecision, neither quite ready to say goodbye. A breeze ruffles James's hair, and I have a sudden, powerful urge to reach out and smooth it back, the kind of casual, intimate gesture I might have done with Neil without thinking. Ethan, James says softly, I want to be clear about something. I wait, heart beating a rapid tattoo against my ribs. I'm not here to be a rebound or a distraction, he continues. I care about you. I've always cared about you. And I'd like to be part of your life again, in whatever way makes sense for you right now. He takes a small step closer, close enough that I can see the individual flecks of gold in his eyes. But I also understand that your life just imploded, and you need time to figure things out. So there's no pressure here. None at all. He reaches out, his hand brushing mine, just the lightest touch of fingertips. You don't have to decide tonight, but I'll be here when you're ready to start again, if that's what you want. The simplicity of the offer, the lack of demands or expectations, loosens something tight in my chest. For days now, I've been drowning in questions. What did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? What happens next? James isn't asking me to have any answers. He's just offering presence, patience, possibility. Thank you, I whisper, voice thick with emotion I can't quite name. He smiles, a soft curve of lips that reaches his eyes. Call me when you feel like talking again, okay? Or even if you don't feel like talking. We could just sit in silence and drink bad coffee, like we used to during finals week. The memory brings a smile to my face, the two of us, bleary-eyed and overcaffeinated, sharing a study carrel in the library's quiet zone, occasionally passing notes instead of speaking. "I'd like that," I say. James hesitates for a moment, then leans in and presses a light kiss to my cheek. "Take care of yourself, Ethan," he murmurs, his breath warm against my skin. Then he steps back, gives me one last smile, and walks away, his figure gradually diminishing down the street. I stand there watching until he turns a corner and disappears from view, my hand unconsciously rising to touch the spot where his lips brushed my skin. Upstairs, the apartment feels different somehow, still empty, still haunted by memories of Neil, but less oppressive. I move through it with purpose now, opening windows to let in the early evening air, picking up the clothes I've left scattered across the bedroom floor, washing the coffee mug that's been sitting in the sink since yesterday. Small acts of reclamation. Small steps toward whatever comes next. My phone buzzes with another message from Neil. "Please, Ethan. We need to talk about this. About us." There have been 3 more calls since this morning, all unanswered. Another text. "I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we please just talk?" I stare at the words, trying to feel something. Anger, hurt, longing, anything. But there's only a strange, hollow calm. The words are just pixels on a screen, no longer hooks that can snag in my heart and pull me back into pain. With deliberate movements, I delete the messages. Then, I block his number. It's not a decision made in anger or spite. It's self-preservation. It's giving myself space to breathe, to think, to feel without the constant intrusion of his need for absolution. As twilight deepens outside my windows, I find myself at my desk, pulling out a notebook I haven't touched in months. My novel, the one I've been working on sporadically between freelance assignments, the one Neil always said I should finish, but somehow never gave me time or space to work on. I flip to the last page I wrote, running my fingers over the ink as if to reconnect with the person who put those words on paper. Then I turn to a fresh page and begin to write. Not the novel, not yet. Just thoughts, feelings, questions without answers. The raw material of whatever comes next. In the middle of a sentence, I pause, remembering something. I reach for my wallet, extracting the napkin James slipped me as we parted. The one with his number written on it, even though he's already in my phone contacts. A tangible reminder that he's real, that the connection we rediscovered today is real. I smooth the napkin on the desk beside my notebook, not ready to program the number into my phone, not ready to discard it either. Another possibility, waiting patiently for me to be ready. Through the open window, city sounds filter in. Traffic and distant conversations, music from a passing car, the perpetual urban symphony that forms the soundtrack of my life. I close my eyes and listen, really listen, for what feels like the first time in years. Then, I take a deep breath and slowly exhale, feeling my lungs empty completely. And for the first time since Neil walked out the door, the breath that follows doesn't catch in my throat. It flows smoothly, easily, filling me with something that might eventually be hope. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if James will become something more than a friend, if Neil will become less than a memory, if the life I thought I was building will be replaced by something entirely different. But tonight, in this moment, that uncertainty no longer feels like drowning. It feels like standing at the edge of uncharted territory, terrifying, yes, but also alive with possibility. I pick up my pen again and continue writing, words flowing more freely now. Outside, the first stars appear in the darkening sky. Inside, piece by tiny piece, something broken begins the long, slow process of becoming whole again. Different, perhaps, but whole.